The grand hall of the Europa Peace Summit glittered like the ice outside its windows. Lieutenant Ji-ho Kim stood at attention near the wall, watching the crowd of humans and aliens. His dark uniform felt tight around his neck, but he did not move to loosen it. As a diplomatic attaché, he knew appearances mattered. "She's about to perform," whispered a voice beside him. His colleague pointed to the center of the room where space was clearing. Ji-ho nodded. Everyone knew what was coming. The Varian dance was famous across 300 star systems. The lights dimmed. A hush fell over the crowd. Even the Centaurian ambassador, known for loud breathing, went quiet. She entered from a side door. Hannah, the Varian ambassador to Earth. Her skin had a faint blue glow that all Varians shared, but on her, it seemed brighter. She wore flowing silver robes that caught the light as she moved. Her steps made no sound on the floor. "Beautiful, isn't she?" someone murmured nearby. Ji-ho did not answer. Yes, Hannah was beautiful, but beauty could hide danger. The file in his pocket felt heavy, the file he wasn't supposed to have. Hannah reached the center of the room and stood still for a moment. Then music began, sounds unlike any Earth instrument could make. She began to dance. Ji-ho had seen videos of the Varian dance, but nothing prepared him for seeing it in person. Hannah moved as if gravity was just a suggestion. Her arms traced patterns in the air that seemed to leave trails of light. When she spun, her robes flared out like the rings of Saturn. Everyone watched, unable to look away. A Varian dance was said to be a gift of peace. Their empire had ruled the stars for 10,000 years, and wherever they went, they'd brought their dances. Ji-ho forced himself to look away. He had work to do. While everyone stared at Hannah, he slipped through a side door and into an empty hallway. The secure communication room was just ahead. He placed his hand on the scanner, and the door slid open. Lieutenant Kim, Admiral Ta-Wu's hologram, appeared as soon as Ji-ho entered. The Admiral's face looked grim. "Did you get the file?" "Yes, sir." Ji-ho pulled out a small data chip. "It was where your source said it would be." "And what did you learn?" Ji-ho took a deep breath. "It's all true, sir. The Varian aren't here for peace. This summit is a trick. They're planning to take Earth." The Admiral's hologram flickered. "Are you certain?" "The file has their battle plans. They'd done this 100 times before. They distract a planet's leaders with talks and dances, while their ships move into position." Ji-ho's hands tightened into fists. "They call it cultural integration, but it's conquest." Admiral Ta-Wu was silent for a long moment. "How much time do we have?" "Hours, maybe. Their ships are already hiding beyond our moon, and no one has detected them." Ji-ho shook his head. "Varian technology is far ahead of ours, sir. Their stealth systems are perfect." The Admiral's image leaned forward. "Not quite perfect, Lieutenant, or we wouldn't know about them, would we?" A small smile crossed Ji-ho's face. "No, sir, not quite perfect. Return to the summit. Act normal. I'll begin preparations." As the hologram faded, Ji-ho felt a chill. "Sir, what preparations?" "The main fleet is scattered across the solar system. We can't fight off a full Varian attack." Admiral Ta-Wu's face was hard as stone. "There are other options, Lieutenant. Options the Varian don't know about." His voice dropped lower. "Have you ever heard of the War Dog Protocol?" Ji-ho shook his head. "Good. That means it's still a secret." The Admiral's image flickered again. "Now go back to the dance, Lieutenant. Don't let them suspect we know." When Ji-ho returned to the hall, Hannah was still dancing. Her movements had grown faster, more complex. The crowd watched in silent awe. Ji-ho watched too, but now he saw her dance differently. Every graceful step, every beautiful turn. They were all part of a countdown to invasion. Hannah's eyes met his across the room. For a moment, her dance faltered. She knew that he knew. The dance continued, but the spell was broken, at least for Ji-ho. The Varine might dance among the stars, but humanity would not simply watch and applaud forever. Jai-Ho moved through the crowd as the dance ended. People clapped and cheered for Hana. Many tried to get close to her, to touch her glowing blue skin. Ji-Ho kept his distance. A message beeped on his wrist device. Admiral Ta Wu wanted to meet in the lower levels, away from the celebration. 10 minutes later, Jai-Ho entered a small room filled with screens. The Admiral stood looking at images of space around Earth. "Good, you're here," said Admiral Ta Wu without turning around. "Look at this." Jai-Ho moved closer. At first, he saw nothing unusual, just the blackness of space, stars, and the curve of the moon. Then the Admiral pressed a button. The image changed. Suddenly, dozens of shapes appeared, like ghosts becoming visible. "What are those?" Jai-Ho asked, though he already knew. "Varine ships," said the Admiral. "Nearly 50 of them, hiding behind their stealth fields. Our new sensors can just barely see them." Jai-Ho's mouth went dry. "So many." "Yes, they mean to take Earth quickly, with no chance for us to fight back." Jai-Ho studied the ships. They were beautiful, like everything the Varine made. Smooth and curved, with no sharp edges. They looked more like sea creatures than machines. "How did we not know they had this many ships near our system?" Jai-Ho asked. Admiral Ta Wu's face hardened. "They've been moving them in slowly, one by one, over the past year, right under our noses while we talked peace." "What do we do now?" Jai-Ho's voice was steady, but his hands shook slightly. "I've sent the activation codes for the War Dog protocol. It's time." Jai-Ho had heard rumors about secret military projects on the far side of the moon, but nothing specific. "What exactly is this protocol, sir?" The Admiral touched another screen. The 3D image appeared, a base built deep under the lunar surface. "The kennel," Admiral Ta Wu said with something like pride. "Home to 300 special ships and their pilots. For 5 years, we've been building them in secret, hoping we'd never need them." The image zoomed in to show ships unlike any Jai-Ho had ever seen. They were smaller than normal military vessels, darker, with shapes that reminded him of the hunting animals of old Earth. "These don't look like our regular ships," Jai-Ho said. "They're not. Regular ships wouldn't stand a chance against Varine technology." The Admiral's voice dropped lower. "These ships are different. They're built to hunt." A chill ran down Jai-Ho's spine. "And the pilots? Special volunteers, enhanced, changed. They've been waiting for this day." Before Jai-Ho could ask more questions, his wrist device beeped again. A message from the summit. His presence was requested. "Hana wants to speak with me," he said. "She must suspect we've discovered their plan." Admiral Ta Wu nodded. "Go. Keep her talking. We need time for the war dogs to launch." Jai-Ho made his way back to the main hall. Most guests had left, but Hana stood by a large window, looking out at the stars. Her blue skin seemed dimmer now. "Lieutenant Kim," she said without turning, "I was hoping you would come." Jai-Ho stood beside her, keeping a careful distance. "Ambassador Hana." "Your Earth is beautiful," she said. "So blue, so alive. The Varine homeworld is mostly desert now. We've lived too long, used too much. Is that why you want to take our planet?" Jai-Ho asked directly. Hana turned to him, her large eyes sad. "You know then." "Yes. It doesn't have to be violent," she said. "Join us willingly. Become part of the Varine Empire. Your people will be treated well. As servants, as lesser beings, as younger siblings who need guidance." Hana moved closer. "I've grown fond of humans. Your music, your art, your strange ways. I tried to delay this, to give you more time, but my superiors wouldn't wait." "We won't surrender," Jai-Ho said simply. Hana looked genuinely sad. "Then you will lose. Your species held such promise. But you are too young, too disorganized to resist the dance of conquest. "Don't be so sure," Jaiho said, thinking of the dark ships awakening beneath the moon's surface. "Humans are full of surprises." Deep beneath the lunar surface, lights flashed on in a massive chamber that had been dark for years. The room was filled with rows of strange pods, each big enough to hold a person. A red alert signal pulsed along the walls. Inside the control center of the facility, called the kennel, technicians rushed to their stations. Screens came to life, showing the approaching Vereen fleet. "War Dog Protocol activated," announced a computerized voice. "Waking sequence initiated." In the first pod, a woman opened her eyes. Captain Sun-Mei Park blinked several times as the cryo sleep faded from her system. Her mind quickly became clear. They had woken her. That could only mean one thing. War had come. The pod opened with a hiss of air. Sun-Mei stepped out, her muscles strong despite years of sleep. The medical enhancements in her body had prevented any weakness. "Captain Park," said a young technician, offering her a tablet. "Admiral Ta Wu's orders." Sun-Mei took the tablet and read quickly. Her face showed no emotion, but her eyes narrowed slightly. "The Vereen," she said. It wasn't a question. "Yes, Captain. 50 ships in Earth orbit. They'll begin landing troops in 3 hours." Sun-Mei nodded and handed back the tablet. "Wake the others. Prepare the ships." All around her, the other pods were opening. Men and women stepped out, the other War Dog pilots. Like Sun-Mei, they had all volunteered for the program years ago. They had all undergone the changes needed to pilot the special ships. They weren't normal humans anymore. They were something more. Faster, stronger, with quicker reflexes and sharper senses. Some people called them monsters. Others called them humanity's last hope. Sun-Mei walked to the main hangar where the ships waited. Unlike regular space vessels, these were black and sleek, with shapes that reminded her of the hunting animals from Earth's past. Each one was designed for a single pilot. Her ship, Alpha, sat in the front row. She placed her hand on its cool surface. The ship hummed under her touch, recognizing her. "Hello, old friend," she whispered. "Time to hunt." On the Europa station, Jaiho watched Admiral Ta Wu take an urgent call. The Admiral's face changed from worry to something like fierce joy. "It's done," Ta Wu said when he ended the call. "The war dogs are awake." "How long until they can launch?" Jaiho asked. "They're launching now." Jaiho felt a mix of hope and fear. The war dogs were their best chance, but they were also dangerous. Not just to the enemy, but to humanity itself. That's why they had been kept secret, kept asleep until needed. "Will the Vereen detect them?" he asked. Admiral Ta Wu smiled slightly. "Not until it's too late. The war dog ships have no metal, no normal engines. They use technology we borrowed from other species." Before Jaiho could ask more, a commotion broke out in the main hall. Hannah had collapsed to the floor, her blue skin flickering like a failing light. Jaiho rushed to her side. Other diplomats backed away, unsure what to do. "What's happening?" Jaiho asked, kneeling beside her. Hannah's eyes opened, filled with confusion and pain. "Something is wrong," she whispered. "Our ships. Something is attacking our ships." Admiral Ta Wu joined them, standing over Hannah. "The Vereen share a mental connection with each other," he explained to Jaiho. "She can feel when they die." Hannah looked up at the Admiral. "What have you done?" she asked, her voice shaking. "What you forced us to do," Ta Wu answered coldly. "The dance is over, Ambassador. We've released the hounds." In space beyond the moon, Sun-Mei led her squadron toward the first Vereen ship. The enemy vessel was beautiful, glowing with the same blue light as its creators. It was 5 times larger than her ship. Sun-Mei didn't care. Size wouldn't save them. "All units, attack pattern Timber Wolf," she ordered through the mental link that connected all War Dog pilots. "Remember your training. They have better technology, but we're faster. We're hungrier." Her ship responded to her thoughts, diving toward the Varine vessel. The larger ship tried to turn, tried to bring its weapons to bear, but Sunmai was too quick. The war dogs had been unleashed. The hunt had begun. The Varine commander Gaisu stood on the bridge of his ship, confused by the alarms blaring around him. Nothing made sense. The humans weren't supposed to have detected them yet. They weren't supposed to have ships that could even see the Varine fleet. Yet the screen showed small, dark objects moving toward them at impossible speeds. "What are those?" he demanded. His second-in-command shook his head. "Unknown, Commander. They're too small to be regular warships. Scan them again." "Sir, they're not showing up on our scans. We can see them visually, but our sensors can't lock onto them." Jaisu's blue skin darkened with anger. "Impossible. Nothing can hide from Varine sensors." A violent shake rocked the ship, throwing crew members to the floor. "We've been hit," someone shouted. "Hull breach in Section 4. Sunmi's ship spun away from the Varine vessel, avoiding the return fire. The enemy weapons were powerful but slow. Her ship, connected directly to her mind, moved as quickly as her thoughts. "Good hit, Alpha Leader," came a voice through her mental link. It was Da-hyun, her second-in-command, piloting the Beta ship. "Stay focused," Sunmi replied. "Target their weapon systems next." Through the link, she could feel the other war dogs spreading out, each attacking a different Varine ship. Their strategy was not to fight like a normal military force. They fought like predators, isolating targets, finding weak points, striking with savage precision. The Varine fleet tried to form a defensive pattern, but they were too slow, too confused. They had never faced an enemy like this. Sunmi's ship dove again, releasing a pulse of energy that disabled the Varine vessel's main weapon. 2 more war dog ships followed, targeting the engines and communication array. In her mind, Sunmi could sense the fear of the Varine crew. They were telepathically connected to each other, a strength in peace, but a weakness in war. Their fear spread from ship to ship, growing stronger with each defeat. On Europa Station, Hannah writhed on the floor, her hands pressed to her head. "Make it stop," she begged. So much pain, so much fear. Jaiho knelt beside her, unsure how to help. He looked up at Admiral Tawu. "What's happening to her?" "The Varine share their feelings through a mental network," the Admiral explained. "She's feeling what they all feel. The fear, the confusion, the death." Hannah whispered, her eyes wide. How are you doing this? You weren't supposed to have weapons that could hurt us." Jaiho helped her to a chair. The other diplomats watched from a distance, shocked by the sudden change in the powerful ambassador. "How many ships have we lost?" Hannah asked, her voice weak. Admiral Ta Wu checked his tablet. "According to our sensors, 15 Varine ships have been disabled or destroyed. No human casualties yet." Hannah stared at him in disbelief. "Impossible. Our shields, our technology, mean nothing against the war dogs." Ta Wu finished for her. "They don't fight like normal soldiers. They don't think like normal humans." "What are they?" Hannah asked. Ta Wu's face hardened. "They're what you made us create. When we learned about the Varine Empire, how you conquered hundreds of worlds, we knew we needed something special to survive. The war dogs are our answer." In space, the battle continued. Sunmi's ship spun through the debris of a destroyed Varine vessel. Her enhanced senses took in everything. The movement of enemy ships, the positions of her squad, the weak points in the Varine formation. "They're trying to retreat," Da-hyun reported. 3 ships are breaking formation." "Let them go," Sunmi ordered. "Let them run back to their empire. Let them tell the others what happened here." She turned her ship toward the largest remaining Varine vessel. This one had different markings. A command ship. "Alpha Squad, with me," she ordered. "Target the flagship. Disable, don't destroy. We want prisoners." As her ship accelerated toward the Varine command vessel, Sun Mai allowed herself a small smile. The Varine had expected an easy victory. They had expected humans to dance to their tune. Like all the other species they had conquered, they had never expected the war dogs. The hunters of Earth had joined the hunt among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same. News of the battle spread fast across the galaxy. Species that had lived under Varine rule for centuries watched in stunned silence as reports came in. Humans, the newcomers, the primitives, had defeated a Varine invasion force. In a trading post near the edge of Varine space, aliens from a dozen worlds huddled around screens, watching blurry footage of the battle. They saw small black ships moving like lightning around the much larger Varine vessels. "Is it real?" asked one, its 4 eyes wide with shock. "It's real," answered another. The mighty Varine were beaten by humans. Hope, long forgotten, began to stir in hearts across the galaxy. On the Varine homeworld, the High Council gathered in their grand hall. The room glowed with the same blue light as Varine skin, but today the light seemed dimmer. Empress Su Yun sat on her crystal throne, her face showing no emotion as she listened to the reports. 17 ships destroyed, 12 damaged, 6 retreated, said the military commander, his voice shaking. Over 2,000 Varine dead. "And the humans?" asked the Empress. "No losses we could detect, Your Radiance." Murmurs of disbelief filled the hall. The Empress raised her hand, and silence fell at once. "How is this possible?" she asked. "Humans are primitive. Their technology is centuries behind ours." A scientist stepped forward. "The humans have created something new, Your Radiance. Their ships move in ways we've never seen. They seem to predict our attacks." The Empress's eyes narrowed. "Send the Eternal Dancer. Send my son." The council members gasped. The Eternal Dancer was the greatest Varine battleship ever built, and Prince Junsu was the Empress's only child, a military genius who had never lost a battle. "Your Radiance," said an old council member, "is that not an extreme response to one defeat?" The Empress stood, her robes flowing around her like water. "This is not about one defeat. This is about the future of our empire. If humans can defeat us, others will try. The fear that keeps our subjects in line will be broken." She walked to a large window that looked out over the capital city. In the distance, a massive ship rose from its dock, engines glowing. "My son will crush these humans and their war dogs. He will remind the galaxy why the Varine have ruled for 10,000 years." On Earth, Admiral Tawu stood before the United Earth Council. The room was packed with government officials and military leaders. "The initial attack has been repelled," Tawu reported. "The war dogs performed beyond our expectations." The council president leaned forward. "And our losses?" "None, Madam President. The war dogs suffered no casualties." A cheer went up from the crowd. When it died down, another council member spoke. "What about the Varine? Will they attack again?" Admiral Tawu's face grew serious. "Yes, our intelligence suggests they are sending their strongest battleship, the Eternal Dancer, commanded by Prince Junsu, the son of the Empress." "Can the war dogs defeat this ship?" asked the president. "Captain Park believes they can," said Tawu. "But she has proposed something more aggressive." "Explain." "The war dogs weren't just designed for defense, Madam President. They were built for a counter-invasion." Silence fell over the room. "You're suggesting we attack the Varine Empire?" the president finally asked. Admiral Tawu nodded. "Humanity never sought this conflict, but we will not merely survive it. We will end it." On Europa Station, Jeho sat with Hana in a secure room. She was no longer an honored guest but a prisoner. Yet Jeho had made sure she was treated well. "Your people will send more ships," Jeho said. "More powerful ones." Hana looked up, her once bright skin now pale. "Yes, my brother Junsu commands our greatest battleship. He is coming. Will he listen to reason? Will he accept peace?" Hana laughed bitterly. Jung-soo knows only victory. He has never tasted defeat. She looked directly at Jai-ho, but neither had any variant until today. Jai-ho stood to leave. At the door, he paused. Your people have ruled through fear for thousands of years, he said, but humans don't fear the same way other species do. When we're afraid, we don't run. We fight harder. Is that why you created the war dogs? Hannah asked. Out of fear. We created them out of necessity, Jai-ho answered. Your empire gave us no choice. As the door closed behind him, Hannah whispered, no one has a choice anymore. The dance has become a war. And wars change everyone they touch. The rains of Saturn glowed in the distance as the Eternal Dancer moved into the solar system. The massive Varian battleship was 3 times larger than any in the first attack. Its hull shimmered with blue energy fields that could stop most weapons. On its bridge, Prince Jung-soo stood tall and proud. Unlike most Varian, he wore armor instead of flowing robes. His blue skin had markings of past victories painted across his face. Status report, he ordered. We are approaching the human world's outer defenses, Your Highness, reported his second-in-command. Our scouts detect their fleet gathering near their gas giant. Jung-soo smiled coldly. These humans think they can challenge us. My sister said they dance like children. It's time to show them how the masters dance. In the command center on Europa Station, Admiral Ta-woo and Ji-ho watched the massive ships approach on their screens. It's huge, Ji-ho said quietly. Admiral Ta-woo nodded. The largest Varian vessel ever encountered. Our regular fleet wouldn't stand a chance. But the war dogs. Captain Park has a plan. The Admiral pressed a button on his console. Captain, are you ready? Sun-Ni's voice came through clearly. Ready, Admiral. My team is in position. Remember, we want their technology intact if possible, Ta-woo said. And the prince. Alive if possible. Understood. Sun-Ni's voice was calm, as if she was discussing the weather instead of a dangerous mission. Ji-ho looked at the Admiral. She's going to board that monster. Not just board it. Take it. Near Saturn, Sun-Mi led a small team of war dogs towards the Eternal Dancer. Only 10 ships, the best pilots, while the rest of the war dog fleet engaged the Varian escort vessels. Remember your training, Sun-Mi told her team through their mental link. Their ship is big but slow. Their weapons are powerful but predictable. And once we're inside, we have the advantage. Her ship accelerated, moving so fast it was almost invisible to normal eyes. The enhanced pilots could handle speeds that would kill ordinary humans. They've spotted us, reported Da-hyun. Defensive fire incoming. The space around them lit up with energy blasts from the Varian ship. But the war dogs moved too quickly, too unpredictably. None were hit. Sun-Ni's ship reached the hull of the Eternal Dancer first. She activated a special device, one designed to cut through Varian shields. A hole opened in the blue energy field. We're in, she announced. Follow me. One by one, the war dog ships attached to the hull of the massive battleship. Special tools cut through the metal, creating entry points. On the bridge, Prince Jung-soo received alarming reports. Highness, enemy forces have breached the hull in 10 locations. Jung-soo's face showed shock for the first time. Impossible. No one can get through our shields. They're inside the ship, sir, moving toward the command center. Jung-soo drew his energy blade, its light matching his glowing skin. Seal all doors. Send all warriors to defend the bridge. Sun-Mi moved through the corridors of the Varian ship, leading 4 other war dog pilots. They had left their ships behind, and now fought on foot. The Varian crew were tall and graceful, but in combat, they were slow. Their bodies were adapted for a low-gravity world. Humans, born on Earth with its stronger pull, were naturally stronger, faster, more dense in muscle and bone. And the war dogs were enhanced beyond normal humans. A group of Varian warriors appeared at the end of a corridor, their energy weapons firing. Sun Mai and her team dove for cover, then returned fire with their own weapons. They're not used to close combat, Sun Mai told her team. Use that. They charged forward, moving from cover to cover. 2 Varine fell. Then 3 more. The others retreated. The bridge is ahead, said Da-Yun, checking a small device that showed the ship's layout. Heavy doors, likely many defenders. Sun Li nodded. Then we knock politely. She placed a breaching charge on the door. When the bridge doors exploded inward, Prince Junsu was ready. He stood in the center of the room, energy blade glowing in his hand. Through the smoke walked a human woman, smaller than him, but moving with dangerous grace. Behind her came 4 more humans, their weapons aimed at the Varine crew. Prince Junsu, said the woman in perfect Varine language. I am Captain Sunmi Park of Earth. Your ship is taken. Your escorts are destroyed or retreating. Surrender. News of Prince Junsu's capture spread across the Varine Empire like wildfire. The unthinkable had happened. The son of the Empress, commander of the Eternal Dancer, had been defeated by humans. On a dozen worlds, alien races that had lived under Varine rule for centuries began to whisper of freedom. Some did more than whisper. On the mining world of Terex, the local species tore down Varine statues. On the ocean planet Mira, the native people sank 3 Varine patrol ships. The rebellion had begun. On Europa Station, Jeho sat across from Hana. The Varine ambassador looked tired, her skin's glow fading. Your brother has been captured, Jeho told her. The Eternal Dancer is now in human hands. Hana closed her eyes. I know. I felt his defeat. What will your Empress do now? She will not surrender, Hana said quietly. She cannot. The Empire has never known defeat in 10,000 years. She will gather our remaining ships. She will make a last stand at our homeworld. Jeho leaned forward. More will die. On both sides. Yes. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Jeho spoke again. You don't have to be our enemy, Hana. You tried to warn us. You wanted peace. Hana looked up, surprised. What are you saying? Come to Earth. Help us build something better than an empire. Something based on cooperation, not conquest. You would trust me. After what my people tried to do. Jeho nodded. You're not like the others. You saw value in humans beyond just conquest. We need people like you to build a better future. Hana's eyes filled with tears, something Varine rarely showed. My people will call me traitor. History will call you visionary, Jeho replied. Aboard the captured Varine flagship, now renamed the Warhound, Sunma studied star maps of the Varine Empire. Admiral Ta Wu's hologram floated beside her. The Council has approved your plan, the Admiral said. You are authorized to proceed with the liberation campaign. Sunmi nodded. The war dogs are ready. We've studied the captured ships and adapted our tactics. Prince Junsu has provided valuable information. Willingly. After seeing his captured crew treated well, yes, he's pragmatic for a Varine prince. Sunmi pointed to a system on the map. We'll start here, Rigel 7. The population has been under Varine rule for only a century. Their resistance movement is strong. Admiral Ta Wu looked concerned. Be careful, Captain. We're not conquerors. We're liberators. I understand the difference, sir, Sunmi said firmly. The war dogs may be hunters, but we hunt oppressors, not innocents. Over the next 3 months, the war dogs spread through Varine space. They moved from system to system, not as conquerors, but as liberators. They disabled Varine ships, freed slave worlds, and helped local species form their own governments. On the desert world of Kaban, Sunmi stood with the local resistance leader, watching Varine soldiers surrender. For 300 years, they ruled us, said the alien, its 4 eyes blinking with emotion. How can we thank you? Join us, Sunmi replied. When this is over, the galaxy will need a new order, not an empire, but a community of equals. The alien nodded. My people will stand with humans. On the Varine homeworld, Empress Su Yun stood in her war room. The holographic map showed her empire collapsing, planet after planet falling to the human-led rebellion. Your Radiance, said her general, the humans and their allies approach our system. They will be here within days. How many ships remain to defend the homeworld? She asked. 53, Your Radiance, against over 200 in the human fleet. The Empress stared at the map. My son, still their prisoner, but reports say he is treated well. Su Yun's face showed no emotion, but her hands trembled slightly. 10,000 years of Varine rule. To end like this. What are your orders, Empress? Su Yun turned to face a large window overlooking the capital city. In the distance, civilians were being evacuated from government buildings. Prepare my personal ship. I will meet these humans myself. She turned back to her general. And send a message to their leader, Captain Sunmay Park. Tell her the Empress of the Varine wishes to discuss terms. The general looked shocked. Terms of surrender, Your Radiance. Terms of peace, the Empress corrected. The dance is changing. We must change with it, or die. 1 year after the first Varine attack on Earth, representatives from 27 different species gathered in the Great Hall of Unity in Geneva. The room was filled with beings of all shapes, sizes, and colors. Some breathed air, others water or different gases kept in special suits. At the center of the hall stood a large round table made of wood from Earth and metals from a dozen worlds. Today, they would sign the charter for the new galactic cooperative. Jaiho stood near a window, watching the snow fall outside. So much had changed in 1 year. The mighty Varine Empire was gone. In its place, free worlds were joining together as equals. Hannah approached him, wearing the simple white clothes of an advisor rather than the flowing robes of a Varine ambassador. Nervous? Jaiho asked with a smile. A little, Hannah admitted. Not everyone trusts a Varine, even now. You helped make this possible, Jaiho reminded her. Without your knowledge of the Empire, the liberation would have taken years longer. Hannah's blue skin glowed softly, and cost many more lives. A chime sounded, calling everyone to the table. Admiral Tawu stood at the head of the table. Beside him was Captain Sunmay Park, wearing her formal uniform with new medals on her chest. Representatives of the free worlds, Tawu began. Today we create something new in the galaxy. Not an empire built on fear, but a cooperative built on respect. Sunmay stepped forward with a digital tablet. The charter has 3 simple rules. 1. All member worlds are equal. 2. No member may attack another. 3. All members will help defend any world that is attacked from outside. One by one, the representatives came forward to sign. The 4-armed delegate from Terex, the water-breathing ambassador from Mira, a tall, thin being from a world of low gravity. When it was the Varine's turn, Prince Jumsu stepped forward. He had been chosen to represent his people after the Empress stepped down. The Varine joined not as rulers, but as equals. Jumsu said clearly, "We have much to learn about living in peace." He signed the charter, then bowed to Sunmay. She bowed back, warrior to warrior. That evening, a celebration filled the great hall. Music from a dozen worlds played while beings of all kinds talked, ate, and formed new friendships. In the center of the room, Hannah prepared to perform. But this time, she was not alone. Sunmay stood beside her. Ready? Hannah asked. Sunmay nodded. I still think this is strange. A war dog dancing with a Varine. Not strange, Hannah said. Perfect. The symbol everyone needs to see. The music began. Hannah started the traditional Varian dance of new beginnings, her movements flowing like water. But then Sunmay joined in, adding movements from human martial arts, strong, precise, powerful. Together, they created something new, neither fully Varine nor fully human, something greater than both. Jai-ho watched from the side of the room, standing with Admiral Tawu. She once danced among stars, Jai-ho said, nodding toward Hana. But she never understood that humans weren't meant to simply admire the cosmos. We were meant to run with it, hunt with it, and ultimately, protect it. Tawu nodded. And the war dogs? What happens to them now that the war is over? Jai-ho looked at Sunme, moving with strength and grace alongside Hana. They'll find their place. Hunters can become guardians. Warriors can become peacekeepers. Across the room, representatives from worlds that had been enemies for centuries now spoke as friends. Species that had never met before shared food and stories. Look at them all, Tawu said with wonder. A year ago, half of these beings lived in fear of the Varine. Now they're planning trade routes and cultural exchanges. That's the thing about fear, Jai-ho replied. Once it's gone, amazing things can happen. Outside the windows of the Great Hall, the stars shone brightly in the night sky. But now they didn't look cold and distant. They looked like homes, places where friends lived. A new constellation was forming in the galaxy. Not of stars, but of worlds joined in friendship, and at its center, the most unlikely alliance of all, the dancers and the war dogs, moving forward together into a brighter future. ###, the end.